Li Wujin pushed through the crowded corridors of Nexus Prime Trading Station. Clutching his sample case close to his chest, the air smelled like a mix of engine fuel, alien spices, and something he could not identify. Strange creatures from dozens of worlds walked past him, speaking in languages that his translator could barely keep up with. He was tired. 3 months aboard the research vessel New Horizon had been exhausting, and now he had to spend his shore leave collecting biological samples instead of resting. But that was the life of a xenobiologist. His parents would have been proud, he thought with a bitter smile. They had always wanted him to be a scientist, even though he had preferred working with machines. The sample vendor had told him to meet at Dock 7, but the station was like a maze. Every corridor looked the same, filled with the same flickering lights and the same crowds of beings he did not recognize. Wujin checked his datapad again and sighed. He was lost. "Excuse me," he said to a passing trader. But the four-armed creature just clicked something in its own language and kept walking. Wujin turned a corner and found himself in a quieter section of the station. The lighting here was dimmer, and fewer people walked through these halls. He could hear the distant hum of machinery and the occasional announcement over the station speakers. That was when he saw her. She stood near a viewing port, looking out at the stars. Her skin was pale blue-gray, almost silver in the stations. Artificial light. She was tall, taller than Wu Jin by at least a head, with long limbs that moved with a grace that reminded him of a dancer. Her hair was white as snow and fell straight down her back. Strange markings covered her arms and neck, like tattoos, but they seemed to shimmer and move slightly. Wu Jin had never seen anyone like her before. His translator identified her species as Valkyrie, but he knew almost nothing about them except that they were rare and kept to themselves. She turned slightly, and he caught sight of her face. Her features were sharp and angular, with large eyes that were completely black, except for tiny silver dots that looked like stars. She was beautiful in a way that was completely alien, completely different from anything human, and yet somehow familiar. Wu Zhen realized he was staring and looked away quickly. He did not want to be rude. Different species had different customs. He did not know what staring meant to her people. He was about to walk past when something strange happened. The woman made a small sound, like a gasp, and then her whole body shook slightly. It took Wu Jin a moment to realize what had happened. She had sneezed, without thinking. Without considering that she was an alien from a species he knew nothing about, Wu Jin did what any polite person would do. He spoke in Korean, using the phrase his grandmother had taught him when he was small. "Bless you," he said. The moment the words left his mouth, something incredible happened. A thin line of light appeared in the air between them, connecting his chest to hers. It was like a thread made of starlight, visible but not quite solid, pulsed gently like a heartbeat. The woman spun around to face him, her black eyes wide with what looked like shock or maybe fear. The thread of light grew brighter. "What did you just say?" she asked. Her voice was soft, but carried an edge that made Wu Jin step back. The translator in his ear was working overtime, converting her words to Korean. "I said bless you," Wu Jin replied, confused. "You sneezed, so I said bless you. It is polite where I come from." The woman stared at him for a long moment. The thread of light between them pulsed faster now. "You do not understand," she said slowly. "In my language, what you just said means something very different." "Different how?" Wu Jin asked, though he was starting to get a bad feeling about this. "You said I bind my life to yours in sacred union," the woman explained. "You have just proposed marriage to me according to the laws of my people." Wu Jin felt his stomach drop. "That is impossible. I just said bless you. A translator must have made a mistake." "Your translator converted your words correctly," she said. "But the sounds you made in your language happen to match a phrase in mine. The intention does not matter. The words have been spoken, and the bond has formed." She gestured to the thread of light between them. "You can see it too, can you not?" Wu Jin nodded, still trying to process what was happening. "This is crazy. There has to be a way to fix this. Can we just say it was a mistake?" "The Valkyrie do not make mistakes about life bonds," the woman said. Her voice was getting tighter, more stressed. I am Kira Velthan, daughter of the third moon of Velkar, trained in the ancient ways, and you have just bound yourself to me. Without permission, without proving your worth, without following any of our customs. Look, Kira, Wujin said, trying to stay calm. I am Li Wujin. I'm a scientist from Earth. I did not know about your customs. This was just a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding or not, the bond exists, Kira said. She looked around nervously. My people will know by now. The bond sends out a signal that any Velkari can sense. They will come here. So we explain what happened, Wujin said. They will understand, right? Kira laughed, but there was no humor in it. You do not understand what you have done. I am promised to another. My marriage was arranged to seal an alliance between tribes. By bonding with me, you have not just insulted my intended mate, you have threatened the peace between our peoples.
Ow.
The station's alert system began to blare. Red lights flashed in the corridors, and an announcement echoed through the halls in several languages. Attention, all beings. The station is now under security lockdown. Please remain calm and follow all instructions from security personnel. Kira's face went pale. They are here already. My people work fast. What happens now? Wujin asked. Now? Kira looked at him with something that might have been pity. Now they hunt you. In my culture, an outsider who creates an unauthorized bond must either prove their worth through trials or be eliminated to preserve tribal honor. Eliminated, Lei? Kira said simply. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the main corridor. Voices called out in a language that sounded like music mixed with the growling of wild animals. How long do I have? Wujin asked. They are already here, Kira replied. I can sense them. 3 hunters, maybe 4. All trained killers. Wujin's mind raced. This could not be happening. One moment he was a simple scientist, collecting samples, and the next he was apparently married to an alien assassin whose family wanted to kill him. Is there anywhere we can go? He asked. Kira looked at him strangely. You are not going to help me. Why would I help you? You have ruined my life. The footsteps were getting closer. Wujin could hear them talking now, their voices sharp and urgent. Please, Wujin said. I know this is my fault, but I did not mean for any of this to happen. I was just trying to be polite. Kira stared at him for what felt like forever. The thread of light between them pulsed steadily. Finally, she sighed. There is a maintenance shaft 2 levels down, she said. If we move now, we might reach it before they find us. Thank you, Wujin said. Do not thank me yet, Kira replied. I am only doing this because the bond makes it hard for me to let you die. Once we are safe, I will find a way to break this connection. They ran toward the emergency stairs as the sound of the hunt began behind them. The maintenance shaft was dark and cramped. Wujin crawled behind Kira through the narrow space, trying not to think about what might be living in the dust and debris around them. The thread of light between them had dimmed but was still visible, casting strange shadows on the metal walls. How much further? Wujin whispered. Quiet, Kira hissed back. Sound travels through these shafts. They could hear us. They crawled in silence for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Finally, Kira stopped at a grate and peered through the slats. She gestured for Wujin to look. Below them was a large docking bay filled with ships of all sizes. Crews were loading and unloading cargo, completely unaware of the drama happening elsewhere on the station. We need to get to that transport, Kira said, pointing to a small silver ship near the far wall. It is fast enough to get us away from here. Steal a ship? Wujin asked. I have never stolen anything in my life. Then today you learn, Kira replied, unless you prefer to stay and meet my father. Your father, Elder Thane Valkuz, leads our tribe and trained me from childhood. He will be leading the hunt personally. As if summoned by her words, a deep voice echoed through the station's communication system. The translator in Wujin's ear converted the musical but threatening words. Attention all beings on this station. I am Elder Thane Velkos of the Velkari. We seek a human male who has committed a grave offense against our people. Anyone who helps this criminal will face our justice. Anyone who brings him to us will be rewarded. Wujin felt his blood turn cold. He sounds friendly. He is actually being polite, Kira said. When he stops being polite, people die. Kicked out the grate and dropped down into the docking bay. Eugene followed, trying to land as quietly as possible. The thread of light between them stretched, but did not break. They moved carefully between the ships, staying in the shadows. Most of the workers were too busy to notice two more beings in the crowded bay. But as they got closer to the silver transport, Eugene heard something that made his heart race. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate footsteps that seemed to be following them. "Kira," he whispered. "I know," she replied. "Keep moving."
Nice.
Transport ship and Kira began working on the door controls. Her fingers moved over the keypad with practiced skill. "You've done this before," Woojin observed. "I am an assassin," Kira said without looking up. "Breaking into places is part of the job." The door hissed open just as a voice called out behind. "Them, sister!" They turned to see a massive Velkari male walking toward them. He was even taller than Kira, with broad shoulders and arms covered in scars. His markings were darker, more aggressive looking. His black eyes held no warmth at all. "Drac," Kira said, and Woojin could hear the tension in her voice. "You were supposed to be mine," Drac said, speaking in perfect standard Galactic. "We were to be bonded in 3 cycles. Our union would have united the northern and southern tribes. I did not choose this," Kira replied. "The bond was an accident." Drac looked at Woojin with obvious disgust. "This weak creature is your chosen mate. This small, soft thing that cannot even stand properly." Woojin straightened up, trying to look less small and soft. "It did not work very well. He is not my chosen anything," Kira said. "The bond was a mistake caused by similar sounds in our languages. Yet you run with him instead of bringing him to face justice," Drac said. He stepped closer, and Woojin could see that his hands ended in claws. "You betray your own people for this alien." "I betray no one," Kira snapped. "Refuse to let an innocent being die for a misunderstanding." "Innocent." Drac laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "He has stolen you from me. He has ruined the alliance between our tribes. He has made me look like a fool in front of the elders. For this, he will die slowly. You will have to go through me first," Kira said. Drac's expression changed from anger to something like hurt. "You would fight me? Your own betrothed? For him?" The thread of light between Woojin and Kira pulsed brighter. Drac noticed it, and his face twisted with rage. "The bond grows stronger," he snarled. "You are already lost to me. It was never yours." "To lose," Kira replied. That was apparently the wrong thing to say. Drac roared and lunged forward, claws extended. But instead of attacking Kira, he went straight for Woojin. Woojin had never been in a real fight in his life. His reflexes were those of a scientist, not a warrior. But as Drac's claws came toward his face, something unexpected happened. The maintenance systems around the docking bay suddenly went haywire. Lights flickered on and off. Cargo loading arms began moving randomly. Emergency alarms started blaring from a dozen different ships. Drac stopped his attack, confused by the chaos around them. "How did you do that?" Kira asked. Wu-Jin. Wu-Jin looked around at the malfunctioning equipment. "I think it was my datapad," he said, holding up the device. "I was trying to call for help and accidentally connected to the station's maintenance network." "You hacked the station's systems by accident?" "I am an engineer by training," Woojin explained. I became a biologist, but I understand how these systems work." More Velkari hunters appeared at the entrances to the docking bay. Elder Velkos himself stood among them, and even at a distance, Woojin could feel the power radiating from the tribal leader. "Impressive trick, human," Drac said, "but it changes nothing. It cannot run forever." "It cannot forever," Woojin replied, surprised by his own boldness. "But long enough." He pressed more buttons on his datapad. The transport ship behind them powered up automatically. The cargo bay doors began opening, creating hurricane-force winds as the atmosphere rushed out into space. In the chaos, Kira grabbed Woojin's hand and pulled him into the transport. The door sealed just as the bay finished decompressing. "Can you fly this thing?" Kira asked. "How hard can it be?" Woojin replied, settling into the pilot's seat. "Very hard," Kira said. "These are military-grade transports." "Then it is a good thing I used to fix them, Wujin said. His hands moved over the controls with growing confidence. My parents wanted me to be a scientist, but I spent my teenage years working in a shipyard. The transport lifted off just as the Velkari hunters reached their previous location. Through the view screen, Wujin could see Elder Velkos speaking, rapidly into a communication device. "Where can we go?" Wujin asked, as they cleared the station. "The Void Nebula," Kira said. "It is dangerous, but their sensors will not work properly there." "What makes you think I can navigate a nebula?" "The same thing that made you hack a station's systems by accident," Kira replied. "You are more resourceful than you look." As they flew toward the swirling clouds of the nebula, Wujin saw other ships launching from Nexus Prime. The hunt was truly beginning. "Kira," he said, "why are you really helping me?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know," she finally admitted. "Maybe it is the bond. Maybe I am tired of having my life decided by others." The nebula swallowed them, and for the first time since the sneeze that started everything, they were safe. Ow. But Wujin knew it would not last long. The Void Nebula was like flying through a storm made of stars. Purple and blue clouds swirled around their small transport, blocking their view and making the ship shake with every gust of cosmic wind. Wujin gripped the controls tightly, trying to keep them steady. Kira pointed to a dark shape ahead of them. "That derelict ship. We can hide inside it." The shape grew larger as they approached. It was massive, easily 10 times the size of their transport. The hull was covered in scorch marks and holes, telling the story of some ancient battle. "What kind of ship is that?" Wujin asked. "Old Earth military," Kira said, reading the faded markings on the side. "From the colony wars, maybe 200 years ago?" Wujin felt a chill. His grandfather had fought in those wars. He'd always wondered what happened to the ships that never came home. They found an opening in the ship's cargo bay and carefully maneuvered inside. The moment they were through, warning lights began flashing on their control panel. "Life support is failing," Wujin said, reading the displays. "We have maybe 6 hours of air left." "Better than being caught by my people," Kira replied. "They will not think to look for us in a human derelict." They powered down their transport to save energy and stepped out into the old ship. Emergency lighting cast long shadows down the corridors. Their footsteps echoed strangely in the empty halls. "We need to find the main power core," Wujin said. "If I can get it working, we can have heat and air. And attract every scavenger drone in the nebula," Kira pointed out. "We will worry about that when it happens," Wujin said. "Right now, we need to survive the next few hours." They walked deeper into the ship, following signs that pointed toward engineering. The thread of light between them provided extra illumination in the darker sections. "Can I ask you something?" Wujin said as they walked. "Ask. Do you really want to marry Drac?" Kira was quiet for so long that Wujin thought she would not answer. Finally, she spoke. "I have never wanted anything," she said. "Want is not something we are taught. I was born to be an assassin. I was trained to kill efficiently and without emotion. When I came of age, I was told I would marry Drac to unite the tribes. I accepted this because it was my duty." "That sounds like a terrible way to live," Wujin said. "It is the only way I know," Kira replied. "What about you? You want to be a scientist?" Wujin laughed bitterly. "My parents died when I was 16. They were both biologists, and everyone said I should follow in their footsteps to honor their memory. So I did, even though I preferred working with machines." "We are both trapped by duty," Kira observed. "Maybe," Wujin said, "but at least we can choose what we do next." They reached the engineering section and found the main power core. It was old but well built, like everything from that era of human technology. Wujin began examining the control panels while Kira kept watch. "How do you know so much about these systems?" Kira asked. "My grandfather designed ships like this," Wujin explained as he worked. He used to tell me stories about the war. He always said that human engineering was about making things that would keep working even when everything went wrong. "Smart philosophy," Kira said. Wujin managed to restart the power core on minimum settings. Lights came on throughout the engineering section, and the air recycling systems began to hum. That should buy us more time, he said. Suddenly alarms began blaring. Red lights flashed in the corridors. What did you do? Kira asked. Nothing, Woojin said, checking the displays. The ship's defense systems are activating automatically. Something is approaching. Through the ship's internal sensors, they could see dozens of small objects moving toward them through the nebula. They looked like metal insects with glowing red eyes. Scavenger drones, Kira said grimly. They strip metal from derelict ships, and they attack anything alive they find. How dangerous are they? Very. They work in swarms and they never stop until everything is dead or gone. The first wave of drones reached the ship and began cutting through the hull. Sparks flew as their cutting beams sliced through metal. We need weapons, Kira said. This is a military ship, Woojin replied. There should be an armory somewhere. He ran through the corridors as the sound of cutting metal grew louder. The ship's computer, awakened by the power restoration, began giving automated warnings. Hull breach in Cargo Bay 7. Hull breach in Cargo Bay 12. Intruder alert. Intruder alert. They found the armory just as the first scavenger drone broke through into the ship's interior. It was the size of a large dog, with multiple arms ending in various cutting and drilling tools. Its red sensors focused on them immediately. Kira moved faster than Woojin could follow. She grabbed a plasma rifle from the weapon rack and fired in one smooth motion. The drone exploded in a shower of sparks and metal fragments. Impressive, Woojin said. Basic training, Kira replied, handing him a smaller weapon. Can you use this? I can try, Woojin said, though he had never fired a weapon at anything. Other than a target range, more drones poured into the ship. Kira moved like a dancer, dodging their attacks and destroying them with precise shots. But there were too many of them. We cannot fight them all, she said, breathing hard. Woojin was studying the ship's schematics on a wall display. We do not have to fight them all. We just have to confuse them. How? These drones work by following specific programming. Attack life forms and harvest metal. But what if we make them think the ship is alive? Woojin ran to the engineering controls and began typing rapidly. The ship's systems responded to his commands, powering up sections that had been dark for decades. What are you doing? Kira asked as she shot down another drone. Making the ship move, Woojin said. If I can get the maneuvering thrusters working, the drones will think it is a living creature trying to escape. The old ship shuddered as ancient thrusters fired for the first time in centuries. Through the sensors, they could see the swarm of drones suddenly change behavior. Instead of continuing their attack, they began following the ship as it moved slowly through the nebula. They think we are prey trying to run away, Woojin explained. They are chasing us instead of cutting us apart. Clever, Kira said. But how does this help us? Woojin smiled and pointed to another display. Because I'm leading them straight into that asteroid field. The rocks will smash most of them, and the magnetic interference will confuse the rest. It worked perfectly. The swarm followed the derelict ship into the asteroid field and was torn apart by the floating rocks. The few drones that survived flew away in confusion. That was brilliant, Kira said. That was desperation, Woojin replied. But thank you. Sat down in the engineering section, finally able to rest. The thread of light between them seemed brighter now, pulsing in rhythm with their heartbeats. I have been thinking about what you said, Kira said, about choosing what we do next. And I've never chosen anything for myself before. It's frightening. Everything worth doing is frightening at first, Woojin said. At least, that is what my grandfather used to tell me. Kira looked at him with an expression he could not read. You are not what I expected from a human. What did you expect? Weakness, cowardice, the things Drac always said about your species. We are not as weak as we look, Woojin said. No, Kira agreed. You are not. The ship's sensors detected new contacts approaching through the nebula. Larger ships this time, moving with purpose. My people, Kira said, reading the energy signatures. They found us. How long do we have? Maybe an hour before they reach us. Woojin looked around the engineering section, his mind already working on their next problem. Then we better figure out how to make this old ship fly properly. Is that possible? My grandfather always said that if you understand how something works, you can make it work again. Woojin cracked his knuckles and turned to the control panels. Let us find out if he was right. The hunt was far from over, but for the first time since this all began, Woojin felt like they might actually have a chance. Woojin never got the chance to fix the old ship properly. 3 sleek Valkyrie vessels surrounded the derelict before he could even restart the main engines. Tractor beams locked onto their small transport, and there was nothing they could do. But wait, they will take us to Drax's personal ship, Kira said quietly. He will want to handle this himself. What should I expect? Woojin asked. Pain, Kira replied. The airlock hissed open and 6 Valkyrie warriors entered, all armed and moving with deadly grace. Their leader was a female with intricate silver markings covering her face. I am Jin Velsera, tracker of the Third Circle, she announced. Will come with us now. Woojin noticed that Jin's eyes lingered on the thread of light connecting him to Kira. Her expression was curious rather than angry. The bond grows stronger, Jin observed. Interesting. They were escorted to Drax's ship, a massive black vessel that looked more like a weapon than a transport. The corridors inside were decorated with trophies from past hunts. Woojin tried not to look too closely at some of them. Drax was waiting for them in a large chamber filled with other Valkyrie. Elder Velkos stood beside him, his ancient face showing no emotion at all. The assembled crowd watched silently as Woojin was brought before them. So, Drax said, his voice echoing in the chamber. The thief returns. I have stolen nothing, Woojin replied, trying to keep his voice steady. You have stolen my intended mate, Drax snarled. You have stolen the alliance between our tribes. You have stolen my honor. For this, you will be tested. Elder Velkos stepped forward. The laws are clear. An outsider who creates an unauthorized bond must prove their worth through 3 trials. If you succeed, the bond will be recognized. If you fail, you die. What if I refuse the trials? Woojin asked. Then you die immediately. Velkos replied matter-of-factly. Woojin looked at Kira, who nodded slightly. He had no real choice. Accept the trials, he said. The first trial was called the Trial of Pain. They strapped Woojin to a chair and activated a device that sent waves of agony through his nervous system. The pain was unlike anything he had ever experienced, like being burned and frozen and crushed all at the same time. Most beings break within minutes, Drax said, watching the readouts on the torture device. They beg for mercy or simply lose their minds. But Woojin did something unexpected. Instead of focusing on his own suffering, he looked at Kira. She stood with the other watchers, her face carefully neutral, but he could see the pain in her eyes. She was feeling his agony through their bond. The realization made him angry. He had already suffered enough because of him. He would not let her suffer more. Woojin gritted his teeth and endured. He thought about his parents, his grandfather, all the humans who had faced impossible odds and refused to give up. He thought about Kira, trapped by duty and tradition, and how she deserved better. After 2 hours, Drax finally turned off the device. Woojin was still conscious, still defiant. Impressive, Elder Velkos admitted. Most break within the first hour. The second trial was the trial of cunning. They brought Woojin to a room filled with ancient puzzles and riddles, each more complex than the last. These were tests that had been used for thousands of years to measure intelligence and problem-solving ability. The Valkyrie approach to these puzzles was methodical and logical. They followed established patterns and traditional solutions. Woojin approached them differently. When faced with a mechanical puzzle that was supposed to take hours to solve, he simply turned it upside down and solved it in minutes. When given a mathematical riddle with no apparent solution, he redefined the problem itself and found an answer that had never been considered before. You think sideways, Jin Velsera whispered to another warrior, like water flowing around a rock instead of trying to break through it. Within 4 hours, Woojin had solved puzzles that usually took days. The assembled Valkyrie muttered among themselves, clearly impressed but also confused by his methods. Human creativity, Elder Velkos mused. We have heard of this but never seen it demonstrated so clearly. The The final trial was combat against Drac himself. They stood in a circular arena while the other Velkhari watched from above. Drac was bigger, stronger, faster, and trained from birth to kill. Wu Jin was a scientist who had never been in a real fight. "This will be over quickly," Drac said, extending his claws. But Wu Jin had spent the previous trials watching and learning. He had seen how the Velkhari moved, how they thought, how they fought. They were creatures of pattern and tradition, even in combat. When Drac attacked, Wu Jin did not try to match his strength or speed. Instead, he used the arena itself as a weapon. He lured Drac toward the walls, then used the alien's own momentum. Against him, when Drac tried to corner him, Wu Jin slipped away and let his opponent crash into the barrier. The fight went on for nearly an hour. Drac grew frustrated as his attacks repeatedly missed their target. The watching Velkhari began to murmur with what sounded like approval. Finally, Wu Jin saw his chance. Drac had fallen into a predictable pattern of attacks, and Wu Jin deliberately moved into position for what looked like a killing blow. But at the last second, he twisted aside and grabbed a piece of debris from the arena floor. Instead of trying to kill Drac, he threw the debris at the arena's lighting system. Sparks showered down, temporarily blinding his opponent. In that moment of confusion, Wu Jin tackled Drac around the legs and brought him down. He could have grabbed Drac's own weapon and ended the fight. Instead, he stepped back and helped his opponent to his feet. "Why?" Drac asked, breathing hard. "You could have killed me, because this was never about killing you," Wu Jin replied. "This was about proving that I am worthy of Kira. Killing her former betrothed would not prove that." The arena fell silent. Even Elder Velkhos looked surprised. "Show mercy to your enemy?" Drac asked. "I show respect to a worthy opponent," Wu Jin corrected. "You are not my enemy. You are someone who cares about Kira, just like I do." Drac stared at him for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, he smiled. "You fight like no warrior I have ever faced," he said, "and you think like no being I have ever met." But as Drac turned to acknowledge Wu Jin's victory, his expression suddenly changed. Pride turned to rage. Honor turned to humiliation. In front of his entire tribe, he had been defeated by a small human who had shown him mercy. "No," Drac snarled, reaching for a fallen weapon. "I will not be made a fool by an alien." He lunged at Wu Jin's back, weapon raised for a killing blow. Kira moved faster than thought itself. Her blade intercepted Drac's weapon with a ringing clash of metal. In the same motion, she struck him with the hilt, sending him sprawling across the arena floor. "The trial is over," she announced, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "I choose my bondmate." The thread of light between her and Wu Jin blazed brighter than ever before. It's visible to everyone present. Elder Velkhos nodded slowly. "The trials have been completed. The bond is recognized by tribal law."
Right.
But as the words echoed through the chamber, Wu Jin could see that not everyone was happy with this outcome. Some of the warriors looked angry, and he heard whispered conversations. That did not sound friendly. The trials were over, but he suspected the real test was just beginning. The tribal meeting that followed the trials was unlike anything in Velkhari history. Elder Velkhos called for all senior warriors to speak their minds about accepting the human into their tribe. The trials were completed fairly. Jin Velsera argued the humans showed courage, wisdom, and honor. "Our laws are clear." "Our laws never considered an alien outsider," replied Karn Veldor, one of Drac's closest supporters. "This human has contaminated our bloodline and dishonored our traditions." Wu Jin sat beside Kira, watching the debate unfold. The thread of light between them had dimmed, but never disappeared. He could feel the tension in the room growing stronger with each exchange. "What happens if they cannot agree?" he whispered. To Kira, "Then the tribe splits," she replied quietly. "Civil war." Elder Velkhos raised his hand for silence. "The trials have been witnessed. The bond has been acknowledged. But I see that many of you still have doubts. Therefore I propose a different solution." The room fell silent, waiting. "Those who accept the human may remain with me," Velkhos continued. "Those who reject him may follow Drac and form their own hunting party. Let both groups prove their way is correct through their actions." Drac, still nursing his wounds from the trial, stood up slowly. You would divide our people over this alien? Would let our people choose their own path, Vel'Koz replied. As is their right. The division happened quickly. About half the warriors chose to stay with Elder Vel'Koz. The other half gathered around Drac, their faces showing clear disapproval. Of the human presence? This is not over, Drac said as he prepared to leave. The galaxy will see which group is stronger. I hope it does not come to violence, Vel'Koz replied. It already has, Drac said, gesturing to his weapon. The moment this human set foot on our ship, after Drac's faction departed in their own vessels, Wujin found himself in an unusual position. He was now officially part of a Valkyrie tribe, but a tribe that was smaller and weaker than before. What do we do now? He asked Elder Vel'Koz. Now we survive, the Elder replied. And we prove that change can make us stronger, not weaker. First test came sooner than expected. A distress signal reached them from a human colony under attack by space pirates. The traditional Valkyrie response would be to ignore it, since protecting others was not their concern. We should help them, Wujin suggested during the War Council. Why? Asked one of the warriors. They are not our people. Because it is the right thing to do, Wujin replied. And because it will show the galaxy that this tribe is different? Elder Vel'Koz considered this. What would you suggest, human? Wujin studied the tactical display. The pirates had superior numbers and firepower compared to the small Valkyrie. Force, a direct attack would be suicide. We do not fight them head-on, Wujin said. We use their expectations against them. Expect Valkyrie to be honorable warriors who attack directly. We do something they will not expect. What do you propose? Jin Velsera asked. We make them fight each other, Wujin explained. Pirates are not loyal to each other. They stay together only as long as it benefits them. If we can make them suspicious of each other, they will destroy themselves. It was not the Valkyrie way, but Elder Valkyrie agreed to try it. They intercepted the pirates' communications and began sending false messages between the different pirate ships. Each message suggested that another ship was planning to take a larger share of the treasure. Within hours, the pirate fleet was firing on itself. The few ships that survived the internal fighting were easily defeated by the combined Valkyrie and human colonial forces. Remarkable, Elder Vel'Koz said as they watched the battle's aftermath. You turned their strength into weakness without firing a shot. Humans are good at finding weaknesses, Wujin replied. We have to be. We are not the strongest or fastest species in the galaxy. Word of the victory spread quickly through the Galactic communication networks. Other colonies began requesting help from Elder Vel'Koz's tribe. Each mission taught the Valkyrie new ways of thinking about problems. Meanwhile, Drac's faction had taken a different path. They had accepted contracts from the Galactic Council to hunt down rebel groups and political dissidents. The work paid. Well, but it made them many enemies. The two Valkyrie factions met in battle for the first time over the mining world of Kepler 7. Drac's group had been hired to eliminate the miners' union leaders. Elder Vel'Koz's group had been asked by the miners to protect them. Brother against brother, Kira said sadly as their ships approached the battle zone. This could have been avoided, Wujin replied, if Drac had been willing to accept change. Space battle was fierce but brief. Drac's warriors were skilled, but they fought using traditional tactics. Elder Vel'Koz's group, trained by Wujin in human military strategy, used coordinated attacks and misdirection. Focus on their command ship, Wujin advised from the bridge. Cut off their communication, and they will not be able to coordinate. That ship is heavily armored, Jin Velsera pointed out. A direct attack would cost us many warriors. Then we do not attack it directly, Wujin said. He activated the tactical display. We attack everything around it. Disable their escort ships, jam their sensors, force them to fight blind. The strategy worked perfectly. Within an hour, Drac's fleet was scattered and retreating. But the victory felt hollow to Wujin. These were Kira's people fighting each other because of him. You did what you had to do, Kira said, sensing his guilt through their bond. Did I? Wujin asked. Sometimes I wonder if everyone would be better off if I had never said those words. You regret the bond between us? Wujin looked at her, seeing not just the deadly assassin, but the woman who had chosen to help him despite everything it cost her. No, he said firmly. I regret the pain it has caused others, but I do not regret finding you. The thread of light between them pulsed warmly. Their celebration was interrupted by an urgent communication from Elder Vel'Koz. His face on the screen looked grave. We have a problem, he announced. The Galactic Council has decided that both Valkyrie factions are becoming too powerful. They've hired mercenary fleets to attack us while we are divided. How many ships? Jin Velsera asked. 50 warships? Maybe more? They plan to eliminate both our groups while we are fighting each other. Wujin felt a cold knot form in his stomach. This was exactly what the council had planned from the beginning. Let the Valkyrie destroy each other, then finish off whoever remained. We have to warn Drac, he said. Warn him? One of the warriors asked in surprise. He is our enemy. He is Valkyrie, Wujin replied. Our differences. Kira smiled at him. Continue to surprise me, human. Contact Drac's ship, Elder Vel'Koz ordered. Tell him we need to talk. The meeting between the two factions took place on neutral ground, a small space station at the edge of the system. Drac came with only a few guards, as did Elder Vel'Koz. You call for a meeting after defeating my fleet? Drac asked suspiciously. We call for a meeting because we are all about to die, Wujin replied. He showed Drac the intelligence they had gathered about the council's plan. Drac studied the data, his expression growing darker. 50 ships. Probably more by the time they reach us, Elder Vel'Koz confirmed. Why tell me this? Drac asked. You could let the council destroy my faction and then face them with your full strength, because that is not who we are, Wujin. Said Valkyrie should not be destroyed by outsiders who play games with your lives. Drac looked at him for a long time. You speak of honor, yet you use tricks and deception in battle. I use whatever works to protect my people, Wujin replied. Is that not what any leader would do? For the first time since their combat trial, Drac smiled at him. Perhaps I have underestimated you, human. The two factions agreed to a temporary alliance against the council forces. As they planned their defense, Wujin realized something important was happening. The Valkyrie were learning to work together. In new ways, combining their traditional strengths with human adaptability, maybe, just maybe, they could survive this. And maybe the tribe could be reunited stronger than before. The council fleet arrived 3 days later, 50 warships strong and confident in their victory. They expected to find two weakened Valkyrie factions fighting each other. Instead, they found a united force waiting for them. This is Admiral Chen. Of the Galactic Council came the transmission. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick.
Elder Vel'Koz
responded calmly. This is Elder Vel'Koz of the Valkyrie people. We reject your offer. Wujin stood on the bridge of the combined fleet's command ship, watching the tactical display. The council had superior numbers, but their ships were spread out in a traditional formation. They expected the Valkyrie to attack with honor and fury, as they always had before. Remember the plan? Wujin said over the communication channel. To both factions, we are not trying to destroy them all. We just need to make them retreat. Understood, human, came Drac's voice from his ship. Though I still think a direct assault would be more satisfying. Satisfying, maybe, but not smart, replied Jin Velsera. The human's way will save more lives. The battle began when the council ships opened fire, but instead of charging forward, the Valkyrie fleet scattered in all directions. To the council forces, it looked like panic and confusion. They are running, Admiral Chen announced to his fleet. Pursue and destroy. That was exactly what Wujin had hoped for. As the council ships broke formation to chase individual Valkyrie vessels, they fell into the trap. Each group of pursuing ships found themselves surrounded by hidden Valkyrie, forces that had been waiting in the shadows of nearby asteroids. Now, Wujin commanded. The scattered Valkyrie ships suddenly turned and attacked in perfect coordination. But instead of trying to destroy the council ships, they targeted specific systems. Engine cores, weapon arrays, communication systems. They disabled rather than destroyed. What are they doing? Admiral Chen demanded as his ships began losing. Power one by one, Wu Jin answered him directly over an open channel. We are giving you a choice, Admiral. Retreat now with your disabled ships, or stay and face complete destruction. You are bluffing, Chen replied. We still outnumber you. Do you? Wu Jin asked. Count your functional ships. The Admiral did count, and his confidence cracked. More than half his fleet was drifting helplessly, their crews alive but their ships powerless. The remaining vessels were scattered and unable to support each other. This is impossible, Chen said. No one defeats the Council fleet this easily. The Velkhari just did, Wu Jin replied. And they did it without unnecessary killing. Think about that when you write your report. The remaining Council ships retreated, towing their disabled vessels. The Velkhari had won a complete victory with minimal bloodshed. Remarkable, Elder Velkos said as they watched the enemy fleet disappear. In all our history, we have never achieved such a victory with so few losses, because you fought smart instead of hard, Wu Jin explained. Sometimes the best way to win is to show your enemy that fighting you costs more than it gains them. Drac approached Wu Jin after the battle, his expression thoughtful. You could have told us to destroy them all. The Council has been our enemy for generations. Destroying them would have made us the villains, Wu Jin replied. They swayed the No, they lost. But they also know we could have killed them and chose not to. That will make them think twice about attacking us again. You fight like a philosopher, Drac said, and for the first time, sounded like a compliment. The victory celebration lasted for days. But Wu Jin found himself thinking about the future. The two Velkhari factions had worked together successfully. But would they stay united? His question was answered when Elder Velkos called for a formal tribal gathering. All the warriors from both factions assembled in the main ship's great hall. Today we proved that we are stronger together than apart, the elder announced. The question now is whether we will remain together. Many voices spoke up, sharing their thoughts about the future. Some wanted to return to the old ways. Others embraced the changes that working with humans had brought. Finally, Elder Velkos raised his hand for silence. There is one more matter to address. The bond between our sister Kira and the human Wu Jin was created by accident and accepted through trials. But now, I offer them both a choice. He gestured to where Wu Jin and Kira stood together, the thread of light between them visible to all. You may complete the traditional bonding ceremony and become true mates in the eyes of all Velkhari. The elder continued. Or you may choose to dissolve the mystical connection and part ways freely. The choice is yours alone. The hall fell. Silent. Everyone waited to see what they would decide. Wu Jin looked at Kira. Over the past weeks, she had become more than just someone he was accidentally bound to. She had become his partner, his friend, and yes, someone he had grown to love.
Do you want?
He asked her quietly. I want to choose for myself, for the first time in my life, Kira replied, and I choose you. Not because of duty or tradition or mystical bonds, but because you showed me that there is more to life than following orders. Are you sure? Wu Jin asked. Being with me means leaving behind everything you have ever known. No, Kira said, smiling. It means building something new with someone I trust. Wu Jin felt his heart swell. Then yes, choose you too. Elder Velkos nodded approvingly and let the bonding ceremony begin. The ceremony was unlike anything Wu Jin had imagined. It combined ancient Velkhari traditions with new elements that honored his human heritage. They exchanged vows in both languages, promising to support each other while remaining true to themselves. When it was over, the thread of light between them had changed. Instead of the thin line that had connected them before, it had become something richer and more complex, pulsing with shared emotions and mutual understanding. So what happens now? Drac asked after the ceremony. Do we all become soft like humans? No, Wu Jin replied with a grin. You become smart like humans. There is a difference, Drac laughed, a sound that would have been terrifying a few weeks. Ego but now seemed almost friendly. Elder Velkos announced his decision about the tribe's future. Those who wish to maintain the traditional ways may follow Drac to the outer territories. He will lead them with honor. Those who wish to explore new possibilities may come with me and our human friend. The division was amicable this time. About a third of the warriors chose to follow Drac, preferring the familiar ways. The rest decided to stay and learn what humans could teach them. "This is not goodbye," Drac told Wu Jin before departing. "We will meet again, and when we do, I hope you will show me more of these clever human tactics." "I will," Wu Jin promised. "And I hope you will show me more about Valkyrie honor." 6 months later, Wu Jin stood on the bridge of the new Unity, a ship designed jointly by human engineers and Valkyrie craftsmen. It was faster than any human ship and more versatile than any Valkyrie vessel. Kira joined him at the viewing port, watching the stars stream past as they traveled toward human space. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. The sneeze that started all this. Wu Jin put his arm around her, feeling the warmth of their bond flowing between them. "Never," he said. "That sneeze brought me the best thing that ever happened to me." Behind them, human and Valkyrie crew members worked together, learning from each other and building something neither species could have created alone. "Bless you," Kira said suddenly, sneezing slightly from the ship's recycled air. Gesundheit, Wu Jin replied carefully, using the German word this time. They had learned to be more careful with their cross-cultural expressions. But the love that had grown from that first misunderstanding remained stronger than any mystical bond. The future was uncertain, but they would face it together, building bridges between worlds one conversation at a time.